Hey guys, well, I guess you all noticed now there's no camera. And some of you are wondering why there's no camera. It's because there doesn't need to be a camera right now. We're going to talk about Aggretsuko. If it wasn't obvious from the title and the intro, I don't know how to make it more obvious. So, quick reminder that I am a scientist. I am allowed to get shit wrong. It's how this works. So, if you think I got something wrong and you want to question, debate, debunk, or otherwise try to change my perspective, there's a comment section. Go nuts! I'll come back and talk to you over and over again. If you don't believe me, just ask all the Eldar weebs who I absolutely have pissed off to the point of which that just saying my name is a trigger warning for them. Wow. They angry. Alright, so, what is Aggretsuko? Well, Aggretsuko takes place in Japan. They make that obvious because of the katakana and the reference to the province in Japan they're in. Furthermore, Retsuko is what it actually is about. We're going to be using the Netflix English adaptation for this panel, this video, and any other way that I would interpret Aggretsuko. Why? Because I speak English as my native language, and therefore the English adaptation is going to be easier for me to translate and interpret. Weebs, go ahead, judge me. So, for a start, we're going to be talking about why Aggretsuko appeals to us psychologically. What about this particular anime gets inside our heads and plays with us? So what is it? Well, let's look at this little comparison here on screen. That is my Wandering Sunrise MLP pony. That is Aggretsuko. It's not just MLP. It's Dexter's Lab. It's Teen Titans, the original, and the Go version. Look at what is here. It is pastel, bright colors. Even Raven in Teen Titans is kind of bright for Raven. But it's pastel colors with bold, heavy outlines. It is a cartoon style that we have seen in the 90s, early 2000s, and all the way up to today that just appeals to us as human beings. They knew what they were doing. So that's the first point of contact here, is we see this cartoon style and we go, oh, I recognize that. Because we've had it ingrained in us for 30 years. God, I'm old. Really old. Okay, anyway. So, moving on. Now that we know that the animation style is going to appeal to us, I have a question. How does Hello Kitty and Aggretsuko get made by the same company for two entirely different audiences? Well, that requires a clip.
From now on, I'm gonna reach for the stars. The sky's the limit.
What about this is now relating to our real world lives? How many of you go to an office every day and have to do something mundane and mind-numbing and want to just scream? Well, Aggretsuko does that. The non-musical aspects of the show, the grind that Aggretsuko does every day, the shitty boss, the shitty job, everything that she has to put up with, is going to build our anticipation for these musical numbers when they finally happen. What am I talking about? Well, that comes from clip 2.
I'll be ready to go back out there.
So, clip 2, right? Just like, what just happened? I don't even... Words. Aggretsuko raged out in a primal, complete screaming rage that is not socially acceptable. But we want to do it. Have you ever rolled your ankle in high heels? Girls? I mean, seriously, it hurts. You want to scream. Stubbed your toe? Jabbed your finger? Bit down on something too hard? And it hurt your teeth. We've all done these things. This is the opening scene. And it appeals to us. Because of raw, unfiltered emotions. These are the opening episodes. This is the first show. And this raw, unadulterated, primal emotion of outlet that we don't have in our everyday lives that we want and need. Aggretsuko is not explosive with her anger. She's implosive. Explosive would be me exploding at someone. Implosive is me holding it in and letting it out elsewhere. We are often told to go have ways to let out our anger. Aggretsuko's method is the method we want to have. In the moment, at that exact second when you were upset, just letting it flow. And it's what we always wanted. There are so many social stigmas and norms and things that say you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to call someone on their bullshit with no repercussions. You're not allowed to throw down in the moment you are mad because of hurting someone's feelings. How does Aggretsuko do it? How does she heal that pain?
I'm just dropping off your food.
Music is an expression of raw, unfettered emotion. What emotion does heavy metal give out? Is this healthy? Like, is this a good way to let out your feelings? Yes. Yes, it is. It's a wonderful way. She is choosing to go somewhere private and just rant to the walls around her with the most humanized expression of raw emotion we possibly could ever have. Music. Think about it. How many times has somebody said something to you and it didn't quite set in, and then a piece of music played and it just clicked? How many times has language been a restraining factor for expressing our emotions? So music becomes an expression that is beyond just words. She has a restraining factor that prevents a physical confrontation because she goes into private spaces. And when it happens just out there, think about it. She's in the women's restroom.
Okay, and back to work.
And yet, she's calling for vengeance, for retribution. I think this was the setup of a serial killer. Also, ladies, if we walked into the restroom and we heard that from one of the stalls, I think it would be universal of, I don't have to pee that bad. I'm gonna go. But she does it anyway. And how does this help her later? It helps her deal with it. It is her release valve to turn off the steam, let it out, and then go back and finish her job and only have her bosses able to say good things about her. As much as Tun rides her case, if he actually had something negative he could put in her performance review, he'd do it, but he doesn't. And so he knows that she wants to quit, but he knows that he doesn't have anything he can throw at her. And this becomes the cue for letting people in on her secret. Judgment is a harsh mistress. I'm not even going to lie. But what we think is going on is often not going on. An example, the Wednesday night Fallout game. Moon thought we were all riding high, that we'd had victory, that we'd had clear victory after clear victory, and all of us were like dancing and having a good time, and no, that's not what was happening. To illustrate this to you, he looked at my character, Wandering Sunrise, and went, I think you're just sad because your character's a bitch. Like, not a bitch as in an angry bitch, but just like a pussy or like timid. I'm like, no, Moon. She thinks she's a monster. And he went, what? Judgment versus what's actually happening is often not what's going on unless you ask the person. She's being judged for her actions over and over and over and over and over again. And nothing happens. She just has to deal with it. And yet, in this next clip, we're going to see what happens when you let someone into your secret place. When you let someone into that little piece of you so they can know you for who you truly are.
They're my sanctuary. A place away from the stress of work, where I can be me. That's why I tried to keep it a secret. But maybe it's better this way. You're gonna hurt your throat doing it that way. Put some tension in your vocal cords, and...
You sound like a demon when you do that.
What happens when she lays her life bare? What happens when her friends bring her to the karaoke bar? They know she comes here often. They've been to yoga class with her. They've made friends with her. She lets it all out. They headbang. They're all into it. They can't do what she does. They don't have the voice for it. They don't have the training or the talent or the capability to do it right now. And suddenly, Retsuko's life becomes much more meaningful to not only herself but us. Because think about it this way. Gori and Washimi don't have a whole lot of characterization. They are what we expect of women in an office in terms of how they act. Gori, most of all, has very little characterization up to this point whatsoever. This is Aggretsuko looking at her audience and going, come into my world. To some degree, Gori and Washimi are just that. The stand-ins for the audience because they do what we want to do for this little red panda. And that's stand up for her. Everything's told from her perspective. I would love to see this from Tun's perspective. I want to know what his motivation is, because people in real life don't do things strictly because they're evil. They do them because they think it's the best of the situation they have. So, this entire show, everything, this is a huge turning point. This entire first season is building up to this switch in which Aggretsuko doesn't need to let out her anger nearly as much. And people are standing up for her and trying to change her life for the better. They're not betraying her. They're showing the ultimate loyalty of, no, this is my friend and she's being mistreated and I now understand her world. But this is a very adult lesson. We have forgotten what it's like to have people stand up for us. We have forgotten what it's like to... what the real darkness of corporate politics is. We all think that hard work will just get us where we want to go, but no, it's not. And the show is telling us something we seem to have let be sidetracked, that we still have to work hard, but we also have to make sure that the people we work with are our friends. You have to play a little bit of office politics, and it sucks. Aggretsuko hasn't been doing that. She's been being the team player who's been judged and loses, but... And for those who don't lose, they end up like Aggretsuko when we saw at the start of the show, the very start, just another cog in the wheel. Now instead, we get all of this inner workings of how an office really works, which is helping prepare like kids who are watching this for an office job. But at the same time, we get this stuff that we as adults wish would happen to us, and then we realize it's not just going to happen. Aggretsuko made it happen. The combination of going to the yoga instructor because Washimi and Gori were going there, wanting to back out and getting pushed in anyway, and then bringing them into her life, sharing her secrets, and telling them what she has to go through because they are so high up the ladder they don't go through that anymore. And then they go, wait, no, we can fix this. She set it up, walked it through, made it easier for everyone to say yes than for them to say no, and now her life is getting better.
In 1987, I was a new hire, now I'm spitting hot fire. TON's about to PRING the herd on you. Ooh. Hey, Retsuko, why you working if you hate your job so bad?
I don't know, it's just what you do.
Cause Retsuko's killing time until she finds herself a man.
I don't know, it's just what you do.
Meek and mediocre, you never really stand out. Waiting for your check like it's nothing but a handout. You're not the best or the worst I've seen. I called you out hard and I'ma get away clean. Yeah.
Tone just issued in front of the entire department, and he's not wrong.
Not helping!
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! You can't just let him say that to you! Hit that jerk with a counterattack! Let's go! 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 Let's go!
Wow, you sure told me. What's the matter? Does the cat have your tongue? This is why you're on the bottom rung. Change your computer and You're sweating like a loser while I crush you like a closer, like a lyric bulldozer. I sleep on your feet, come on, you get me. No play your deal where you got nothing to say. You're lazy, cause you're going with the flow, and I can't figure out if you're coming or going. Your sad little life got no rhythm or rhyme, and I bet you that's why you're getting drunk all the time.
There you have it, Mr. Tone's epic two-part smackdown!
Sorry. Jimmy, I was going to sing, but I froze up. I just couldn't do it. This is the song I'm gonna do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Is it a nursery rhyme? What the hell?
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Where'd you go again? Nobody wants to hear it. Your beats are weak and your rap sucks. Look at you standing there wanting a reply. Here it comes big as a battle cry. You're a city boss. You're a city boss. I hate you so much. You think you won? 20 years from now, you're gonna look in the mirror, and the chick staring back at you, she's the one they'll be calling shitty boss.
You guys want to order anything else?
Up until this point, up until she revealed to Washimi and Gori the death metal thing, we just assumed it happened at the karaoke bar and in the bathroom, and that she didn't just break out in heavy metal music in front of everyone. And then we have the epic rap battle. Take a moment. Think on this. Where are smaller versions of this showdown that happen every day at work? Where are smaller versions of this massive titanic battle that you have to deal with every single day? This is not a trope. This is a metaphor for our own lives. And it is built up to this point. And we get what we would consider the ultimate justice. The shitty boss at work looking like he's just went 20 rounds with Muhammad Ali at the peak of his career. Because anime. But for us as adults psychologically, if you work in customer service, there's that shitty customer. You want to throw down with them, but you can't. You have to figure out how to win this battle. For those of you with office jobs, it's that boss that just came by and just dropped a ton of papers on your desk and went, I need this done by 5, and it's 3 o'clock. For those of us who work construction jobs, it's the engineer who came in and changed the entire layout. For those of us who work on stage, it's the director who just came in this morning and presented us with a new script. We don't want to do these things. We know we're going to have to. We know we're going to have to. We want to do a showdown. We want to stand up for ourselves. And this is a lesson that we needed to remember. That we should stand up. We should tell them the problems that are going to happen with this. Because if you have a boss, if you have someone over you who is not going to listen to you, the person actually doing the job, you have a bad boss. And those of you who are over other employees, when an employee says, hey, this isn't going to work, ask them then what's the alternative. Because, again, finding a middle ground that doesn't result in the showdown with Ton is better. And Aggretsuko knows it. But Aggretsuko had to scream rage for us to remember that. Now, side note, when did Aggretsuko become a karate black belt 00 agent?
Wait a minute. Did Retsuko really?
Did Retsuko belt out some kind of death metal song?
Lucky for me, everybody's in a drunken haze and remembers nothing from the night before. Well, everyone.
But also, on another note, episodes 8 and 9 have a complete tonal shift. It's out of place. We know the relationship that she's starting with this other red panda whose name escapes me, who I just can't find the name of when I'm writing this script, isn't going to work. How does this parallel our real lives? Because we want to scream at our friends, this person's no good for you, this person is this person, and make our friends see it, and they can't. And we don't understand why. And it's because of song number 8.
You're a good singer. Go again. I'm not good at this stuff. So, what's it gonna be?
It's over.
Better late than never. Missed you, Retsuko.
I'm back.
Relationships are innately built to end, but what is the ending point? Relationships, especially romantic ones, are about compromise and caring for the other person. How has this become non-functional? And now you're reminded of something. Something that applies to our real lives so very well. You can't force love on someone, and you can't make decisions for someone else. Your best friends, in this case Washimi and Gori, will be there to catch you when you fall. You have to understand, the person learns better from making their own mistakes. Aggretsuko can't see she's made that mistake until she falls. You, as the best friends of this person, are not there to stop them. You're there to catch them. And that's something we forgot. And it is beautifully illustrated in an hour in 6 minutes. Absolutely wonderfully illustrated. That everyone is against this relationship, including the audience, because we recognize how much of a jerk he is. But we can't make that decision for her. We can scream at the screen all we want, we can talk about it all we want, we can go out of our way all we want, but we know at the end of the day, all we can truly do is wait for her to realize it herself. She has to make the mistake because human beings learn 108 times faster by making mistakes than by getting it right. When you get it right, nothing goes wrong and you don't go back and analyze the situation. When you get it wrong, you go back and you go, what went wrong? And you figure it out and you make it where it doesn't go wrong again. So, can't force love, friendship, or force people to move on and break relationships healthily. You have to let them fall. And so the show ends when the dream ends and Aggretsuko realizes this. And it's just this little beautiful thing. And so they decide to give us one final note.
This is just common freaking sense. You see that? If you're gonna bother stapling stuff together, at least staple it all at a 45-degree angle!
And we all wanted that. We all wanted that final note. We needed it. We needed to hear the rage scream again. She's called so many people out on their bullshit through it. And it's something that we needed to be reminded of, that every day there needs to be a way for us to let it out, to call people on their bullshit, and to make a plan of action that we follow through with. Even if it's not working entirely as we planned, we follow through. Aggretsuko is a great anime, not just for the absurdity that we go through with it, not just the insanity of everything we do as we watch her go through this, but the science of the musical absurdity here is that it's everything we wish we could do and can't. And that is wonderful. It's what makes the series appeal to us as adults, and it's what hopefully will have us coming back if they decide to continue it. Is the reminder that our everyday grinds that we go through are really titanic, epic micro battles that no one seems truly aware of, and everyone just continues about their day. The comedy is set up in such a way that it is the over-the-top epic showdowns that happen in our heads, when in fact all we're doing is telling the customer on the other end of the phone that they can't have it exactly like they want it. This has been Fiaura the Tank Girl talking about Aggretsuko and how it appeals to us as adults. Thank you. So I got like 30 seconds, right? Yeah, that's it? Alright, we've already used 3 of them. Hi, I'm Fiaura. I blow stuff up and do science and analyze stuff for psychology, sociology, math, physics, you name it, I'll break it apart. So I was inspired to do this panel about Aggretsuko, and now I've done a video about it by one of my patrons. They recommended it, and I said, okay, I'll watch it. And then I'm like, oh my god, this is so awesome. And then I wanted to know why. And I came to the realization, and it took this entire video for me to explain that entire realization of why. So down in the comments, If you agree with me, fine. I want you to type out what you liked about Aggretsuko in relationship to situations in your own real life. I want to hear it. Also, sorry, I took more than 30 seconds and I'm sick. This science is also brought to you by people who sponsor me on Patreon and people who come to my live streams and sponsor me there with Twitch subscriptions, bits, and tips, because that's literally how I survive. To be able to sit down and do hours of research on this stuff and then present it to you guys. I'm going to get better, again, now that con season's over, about making sure to get the science videos out, so you can expect more this Christmas and more into the early next year until the con season starts back up in May. So in the meantime, thank you guys, and see you later. Wow, it took me a minute and a half. Crap!